The series we all know and love. Known for its fast-paced gameplay, top-tier soundtrack, and sporting one of the greatest protagonists of all time. It's no wonder why these games hold a special place in many people's hearts. With Ys 10 coming to the West this fall, series interest and overall popularity only seems to be growing. Granted, we aren't anywhere near as big as Trails, but hey, we'll get there one day. But, you know, it wasn't always like this. A while ago, the series was, almost dead. What the hell happened? Oh, that's right, Ys 5. Often considered the black sheep of the series. This game was just, in general, not very good for a lot of reasons.
Oh, what's that? Your series had a bad game? Couldn't be me.
Didn't Falcom rush out Kuro 2 because they wanted to finish my game instead?
Well, you see, it's because of, man, shut up.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Anyways, like I was saying, Ys 5 was not very good. For one, the game was only on Super Nintendo, unlike the previous game, Ys 4, which had versions on both PC Engine and SNES. With Ys 5 only having an SNES version, both the graphics and the music took a pretty big hit. Granted, it's not like the game looked terrible or anything, and there were some pretty good songs in there too, but the thing is, Ys 5 didn't feel like an Ys game. It kinda just seemed like the average Super Nintendo RPG, even more so because Ys 5 got rid of the bump combat system from 1, 2, and 4. Needless to say, the game wasn't received very well, causing the series to pretty much go on hiatus until further notice. From 1995 up until 2002, not a single Ys game was released. Falcom knew that if they wanted this series to continue, the next game had to be something good, practically revolutionary for the series. And so, 1 year later, the series had its grand return. Ys 6, The Ark of Napishtim, was released on September 27th, 2003, kicking off the revival of the series. This was the first Ys game released in over 7 years at the time, which is kinda crazy to think about, cause now we get Ys games every few years or so. Hell, in 7 years we got Ys 7, Memories of Celceta, 8, and 9. Not only that, this was the very first time Ys had ever gone 3D. And for the first time, this was pretty good. Don't get me wrong, the game wasn't groundbreaking or anything. This is Ys we're talking about. We're always like one generation behind everyone else. But still, it's not like the game looked horrible or anything. Aside from that, one of the most important things about Ys 6 was the new style of gameplay they came up with. It was completely different from the previous games. No bump combat, no side scrolling, and no whatever Ys 5 had going on. It was pretty much a hack and slash with some platforming mixed in. There's obviously more to it, with this game having the 3 weapons thing, and the other 2 games having their own thing going on too. But at its base, it's a hack and slash. And on top of that, the music for this game was nothing short of amazing. Although that's pretty typical for an Ys game. But seriously, the music was a complete upgrade compared to Ys 5. Not that it was very hard to surpass that game, it was on SNES after all. And even now, with 7 more games out, Ys 6 still has one of the most unique soundtracks in the entire series. Nothing else has anything close to the vibe of this game. And speaking of those other games, you might be thinking, sure, Ys 6 was good and all, but was it good enough to get Falcom to make more games after? Well, duh. Like I said, this game pretty much gave new life to the series. Not long after Ys 6 came out, we got Oath and Felghana, a remake of Ys 3, and Ys Origin, a completely new game set long before the events of Ys 1. These games use the same engine from Ys 6, which I'd like to call the Arc engine, mostly because it just sounds cool. Anyways, the Arc Engine games, specifically Oath and Origin, are often considered some of the best games in the entire series. But it doesn't even stop there. Only 2 years after Ys Origin came out, still on the PSP mind you, we got Ys 7, which completely switched up the gameplay of the series after only 3 games. The new party system was practically revolutionary for the series, doing the same thing Ys 6 did prior, providing the groundwork for future games in the series. And Ys 7 definitely did that, considering that there were 4 party system games compared to the 3 Arc Engine games. Going from 7 to Soseta to 8, you can tell each game built upon what the previous game did, but greatly expanding the gameplay and overall scope of the game to make it seem new. And all of that culminating into Ys 9, the final party system game, and in my opinion, the best of the 4. You can just tell how much experience Falcom had built up over the years, cause the game genuinely feels so nice to play. The movement, in my opinion, just feels way smoother than Ys 8. The graphics are another story. You should totally watch my video on that, by the way. Hold on though, we still aren't finished, because after 4 party system games, Falcom knew, once again, it was time to change things up, resulting in Ys 10, the latest game in the series. Ys 10 ditched the party system altogether, introducing the new cross-action system, allowing you to control 2 characters instead of the usual 3, and turning Flashguard into something much less spammable, which I personally appreciate. Don't get me wrong though, spamming Flashguard was still really fun. On top of that, there's way more cool looking stuff you can do in the cross-action system, but it's kinda hard to imagine how this stuff would work in a future game, considering you wouldn't have the same characters anymore. But that doesn't change the fact that the cross-action system was still really amazing. I mean, I don't know if it'll last 4 games like the party system, but honestly I can't see myself getting tired of it anytime soon. But you know what's really crazy? If it weren't for Ys 6, I wouldn't even be here trying to think of how the next game would play. I wouldn't even be here making this video right now. Ys 6 propelled the series forward, away from the brink of death. If the game didn't do well back in 03, or worse, Falcom just stopped making games after Ys 5, things would be drastically different. All of these games, these amazing experiences would have never happened. Sure, it might not be a fan favorite game, but that doesn't make it any less important to the series, you know? And yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say. I kinda just wanted to show a bit of appreciation for Ys 6, cause without this game, who knows where the series would be right now. On top of that, it's just kinda rare to see people talk about this game out of all the others. It's usually 8 or Oath and Felghana that gets all the attention, you know? At the end of the day, I just want to talk about the series I love. Anyways, that's all for me. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and maybe subscribe too. Alright, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.